Madagascar is known for its lush forests, colourful chameleons and cartoon lemurs, but rewind the clock 70 to 100 million years and it tells a very different story. This island wasn't just isolated, it was an evolutionary sandbox. With no large land predators like T-Rex or sauropods to balance the scales, nature got weird. Really weird. Cannibalistic predators, crocodile-faced giants, and frogs with the bite force of a wolf. But what better predator to start with than one whose mouth looked like it was from a nightmare? This is Masiakasaurus nopfleurii, a dinosaur who looks like it was designed by someone who only half remembered what a theropod should look like, and then added a splash of nightmare fuel for good measure. This carnivorous dinosaur lived around 70 million years ago in the late Cretaceous. It was small, around 6 feet, that's 2 meters long, roughly the size of a large dog. But its defining feature, and the reason it looks like something ripped from a horror movie, was its teeth. Instead of pointing downward like most theropods, the front teeth of the Masiakasaurus curved out almost horizontally from its lower jaw. These forward-facing teeth weren't built for bone crushing or tearing flesh like a T-Rex. They were built for precision. The front teeth were long, slender, and backward curved at the tips, perfect for stabbing and gripping small, slippery prey. Farther back in the mouth, the teeth became more traditionally recurved. This was better for slicing. This strange two-stage dental arrangement baffled scientists at first. What kind of dinosaur needs forward-facing teeth like that? But the answer might lie in the prey it hunted. These weren't the jaws of a bone crusher or a flesh ripper. These were surgical tools designed to snatch and grip slippery, fast-moving animals like lizards, small mammals, birds, and perhaps even fish. The teeth at the front likely acted like chopsticks, catching delicate prey, while the rear teeth handled the messy business of the slicing. Its feeding style has no direct parallel among theropods, but it bears a vague resemblance to modern piscivores, animals that eat fish, like herons, and even certain types of snakes. This suggests that the Masiakasaurus was exploiting a niche few dinosaurs dared to specialize in: small, fast, wriggling food. But the weirdness didn't stop at its face. Masiakasaurus had a surprisingly graceful build, more sprinter than bruiser. Its legs were long and slim, built for agility and speed, likely allowing it to dart through underbrush or race across muddy floodplains in pursuit of prey. And CT scans of its bones suggest it had a very rapid growth rate, typical of active, warm-blooded predators. Put simply, Masiakasaurus was a highly specialised hunter, but with no raptors or small dromaeosaurs in Madagascar to compete with, this little predator found a lane, and evolution ran with it. In the end, Masiakasaurus stands as a reminder of how strange life could get on an isolated landmass like Madagascar, and it did so with a face only a mother or paleontologist could love. And yet somehow this predator isn't even the most nightmarish creature to crawl out of prehistoric Madagascar. That title might belong to a frog, a giant prehistoric toad named the Devil Frog. This is the Beelzebufo ampinga, and it didn't earn its nickname for nothing. Paleontologists believe it likely preyed on hatchlings and possibly even juvenile dinosaurs. Yeah, you heard that right, a dinosaur-eating frog, making it one of the most terrifying amphibians to ever live. It belonged to a group of frogs called ceratophorids, today represented by the relatively small but strange-looking horned frogs of South America, often nicknamed Pac-Man frogs for their comically wide mouths and aggressive appetite. Beelzebufo was like their monstrous cousin on steroids. This was a frog the size of a beach ball, 16 inches wide, that's 41 centimeters, and weighing up to 10 pounds, that's 4.5 kilograms. That's heavier than most house cats, only this cat could probably bite through your hand. Fossilized bones discovered in Madagascar show it had thick, heavily armoured skin and a hyperossified skull, meaning its head was reinforced with dense bone. This wasn't just for show, it was perfect for withstanding high bite forces. Studies of its jaw suggest it could generate a bite force comparable to a wolf's, over 2,200 newtons of pressure. For comparison, that's more than enough to crack a shell of a tortoise, or the bones of a baby dinosaur. With its bite strength, body size, and skull structure, it suggests that this was an ambush predator lying in wait, buried in mud or underbrush, before springing forward and engulfing anything unfortunate enough to stroll by. Insects, lizards, mammals, and yes, young Masiakasauruses in which it shared its environment with. And what's even worse for its prey is the fact that Beelzebufo did not chew. It swallowed everything whole, slowly, while it was squirming in its mouth, similar to modern-day Pac-Man frogs, just on a much larger scale. But as terrifying as it was, Beelzebufo also tells us something fascinating about prehistoric ecosystems. Its closest living relatives are found in South America, a clue that Madagascar and South America were once connected through the ancient supercontinent called Gondwana around 180 million years ago. The presence of Beelzebufo suggests that some evolutionary lineages not only survived the continental split, but continued to thrive in isolation for tens of millions of years. Madagascar during the Devil Frog's reign was a perfect storm for weird evolutionary experiments like this. Isolated from Africa and India, it became a pressure cooker for bizarre biology. There were no large amphibian predators to compete with. There was also no mammals to snatch up the small prey niche, so this frog stepped in and became something prehistoric ecosystems rarely produce: a lethal amphibian. But Madagascar's weirdness didn't begin 70 million years ago. Nearly 100 million years earlier, this isolated island produced an even more nightmarish predator. And it wasn't an oversized frog or a small dinosaur with a big smile. Instead, a crocodile. But not like any crocodile you know today. Bear with me on the pronunciation, guys, but this is the Razanandrongobe sacalave, a gigantic crocodile-like beast whose name fittingly translates to ancestor of the giant lizard. This wasn't just another prehistoric reptile, it was a monstrous apex predator. But despite the resemblance, it wasn't technically a crocodile like today's saltwater crocs. It belonged to an extinct group of crocodilomorphs known as Nodosuchians, a lineage that thankfully for us, and about every other animal on Earth, no longer exists. Not only is Razanandrongobe the oldest known Nodosuchian, it's the largest ever discovered. Stretching up to 23 feet long, that's 7 meters, it was easily the apex predator of its ecosystem. Unlike modern crocodiles, which primarily stay submerged with their bellies close to the ground, Razanandrongobe likely moved with ease in both water and across land. Nicknamed land crocs, Nodosuchians evolved unique terrestrial adaptations, and this land croc was no exception. Its robust legs supported a raised, active posture, allowing them to swim or run with ease across Madagascar's landscape. But it wasn't just Razanandrongobe's mobility that made it impressive. It also had a massive, robust skull that was specifically built to deliver bone-crushing bites. Paleontologists from the Natural History Museum of Milan noted its teeth rivaled those of a Tyrannosaurus rex, measuring nearly 15 centimeters long. That's 6 inches. Although no exact measurement of its bite force exists, experts suggest it was considerably larger than the modern saltwater crocodile and may have even surpassed the T-Rex itself. Another notable fact is Razanandrongobe's jaws were not built for drowning prey or twisting them apart in a death roll. They were designed to dispatch victims instantly. But what exactly did this ancient nightmare prey upon? During its reign, Madagascar hosted early dinosaurs, giant amphibians, and massive herbivores. But Razanandrongobe wasn't satisfied with hunting small fish or aquatic creatures. It targeted large, powerful prey. Examination of the dental wear on Razan's teeth confirmed such a diet, showing extensive wear from biting hard objects. Overall, the feeding habits of this oversized croc were closest to the later Tyrannosaurid dinosaurs, who were also specialized bone crushers. The discovery of Razanandrongobe also filled a critical evolutionary gap. As the oldest known member of its lineage, it provided proof that immense terrestrial crocodiliform predators evolved far earlier than we previously believed. Its fossilized remains have helped paleontologists not only understand crocodiliform evolution, but also reconstruct Madagascar's early Jurassic ecosystem, a time when croc-like giants, not dinosaurs, stood at the apex of the food chain. It wasn't just any prehistoric croc, it was the largest known member of the Nodosuchia to ever terrorize the world. When Razanandrongobe disappeared around 145 million years ago, its lineage continued, but not one of its relatives ever reached its epic proportions again. In fact, for another 135 million years, until Nodosuchians finally went extinct around 10 million years ago, the planet never witnessed another member of its family quite so massive. That's how uniquely terrifying Razanandrongobe truly was. And despite the terror this oversized croc possessed, it doesn't even come close to the most evil and truly messed up prehistoric animal to come out of Madagascar. This is the Majungasaurus, and no, you're not seeing things. Mother Nature was not kind when designing this dinosaur. Its tiny useless arms had no functional elbows and its fingers were fused together. Its legs were so short in fact that this 23-foot long dinosaur only stands around 6 feet tall. The Majungasaurus looked so ridiculous in fact that its nicknames include Sausage Saurus and Hot Dog Lizard. But despite its appearance, Majungasaurus was no joke, being the top apex predator in Madagascar during the late Cretaceous, that was 66 to 70 million years ago. Alongside its predatory dominance and its comical appearance, it did have a dark secret though. In 2003, paleontologists made an eye-opening discovery which changed everything we thought was possible or capable about the Majungasaurus and other theropod dinosaurs in general. While excavating its fossils, they uncovered rib bones from the Majungasaurus riddled with deep teeth marks. At first, it seemed obvious. A massive undiscovered predator has fed on this unfortunate dinosaur. But this was not the case, as the Majungasaurus was the biggest predator roaming Madagascar at this time. As more fossils and teeth were found in the years that followed, paleontologists decided to take a closer look. By studying the bite radius of the teeth marks, it was clear that the culprit wasn't some other undiscovered dinosaur stalking the region. It was in fact another Majungasaurus. By lining up the bite marks from the rib bone with Majungasaurus teeth, paleontologists could prove that this dinosaur had been fed on by one of its own kind. This is a groundbreaking moment in paleontology. The discovery provided the first hard evidence of cannibalism among dinosaurs. Some people suggest this could have been a one-off or rare event, and that the particular Majungasaurus could have been very hungry and while scavenging it stumbled across an old dead body. However, the fossil records reveal multiple instances of this dinosaur eating its own kind. One discovery even found Majungasaurus bones in the stomach contents of another Majungasaurus. A study published in 2007 confirmed that this dinosaur did not just eat its own kind, it almost certainly killed its own kind as well. Additional bones were discovered from a fight between two Majungasaurus, and numerous bones from one individual had bite marks, and more interestingly, they appeared to be no signs of healing. This strongly suggests the injuries were fatal given the bone had no chance to heal, and the victim was eaten shortly after death or perhaps even during the fight, so this was hard evidence that they often engaged in brutal and sometimes fatal fights with their own kind, with the loser of the fight being eaten. It was a dinosaur you wouldn't want to meet even if you were another Majungasaurus yourself. But how can paleontologists be so sure and confident that all these injuries were inflicted by another Majungasaurus? It's surprisingly easy to identify bite marks from Majungasaurus. The skull and teeth were unique and had very much different biting styles compared to other large predators during this time. With its broad, short and dense skull, it was better designed for biting down and gripping rather than slicing through prey. This made it highly efficient at holding on to prey and possibly its unfortunate rivals. On paper, life as a Majungasaurus should have been easy. It was the biggest and strongest predator in its region, perfectly adapted to dominate in its environment, but the reality was far more brutal. Its greatest threat wasn't other species, it was itself. Majungasaurus faced constant danger from its own kind, often engaging in fatal fights where the loser would be devoured. But despite this savage lifestyle, Majungasaurus was very successful. So successful in fact that it was able to kill its own kind and still thrive for millions of years. This all came to an end, of course, roughly 66 million years ago when the asteroid wiped out 75% of all species on Earth, making it one of the last known non-avian dinosaurs to go extinct.